Hello everyone, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel where I love to bring you the best tips and tools for creating beautiful home decor on a budget. Today I am here with 10 crafty Christmas countdowns. I did a variety, some that you can just quick make and use for 1 year, some that you can take a little bit more time and reuse year after year, some that are a little more involved, and some that are super quick and easy. So with all that being said, let's get crafting. Today's first project in Christmas Countdown will be using this mini muffin tin, some roll of adhesive magnetic sheet, and some scrapbook paper from Michaels. I used a mini 6x6 pack. So the hardest part of this whole project was finding a circle template big enough to cover over each of the muffin tin holes. But I ended up with something between 2 1/4 inches and 2 1/2 inches, but go off of what size your muffin spaces are. Then going through this 6x6 paper pad from Michaels that I used in a previous video, I'm choosing 6 different paper patterns that I'm going to cut into fourths to use as my decoration on my circle magnets, if that makes sense. So just flipping through, I just wanted a variety, and then we will cut those into fourths. And then once we have all of our magnet circles, all 24 cut, we will stick that paper to the adhesive side. So once I had traced my 24 circles onto the adhesive magnet, I just took my time with my Magnolia stencil scissors and cut them out as best as I could. Now I bought this roll of adhesive magnet sheet at Hobby Lobby. It was $10 for a 1 foot by 2 foot roll, and I did have some extra left over. Then I took off the covering of the adhesive and put each magnet circle down on the back of the scrapbook paper. Do this for all 24, and then you will cut them out again, cutting around your magnet so that the scrapbook paper is just covering the magnet circle. Once I had all my circles cut out, I arranged them on my muffin tin, one to make sure they were all going to fit, and just to get my pattern going of the 6 different papers. Now this paper pad had one sheet that had the numbers 1 to 25. So I'm just cutting out these little squares, and then we'll attach these to the front of our magnetic circles. If you don't have these, you could always just print out the numbers, type them on a Word document, and punch those out or cut them out. Another option would be to use sticker numbers as well. Then you can just use a tape runner or a glue stick or wet glue to attach your numbers to the center of each circle. And here's the finished countdown. This takes up very little space, and you have just a little bit of space to put a small candy or like a small mini Reese's peanut butter cup in. Our next countdown is this Foam Blocks Christmas Tree Countdown using 2 of the wood Christmas trees from Dollar Tree, some tumbling tower blocks, some scrapbook paper, and a set of the foam dice. So I feel like these trees are just a little bit thin, and since I was making this for a craft show, I decided to take some wood glue and double up on the trees just to make it a bit thicker and more sturdy. So get them lined up with the wood glue in between and clamp it until you've got one solid, thicker Christmas tree. Then what I'm going to do is put a thin layer of matte finish Mod Podge over my tree, spritz some water on my scrapbook paper of choice, and press that down, getting out any air bubbles, and then setting it aside until it's completely dry. Now for my dice, I specifically chose red ones because I knew I wanted to paint them red, and I knew that the crimson would cover red better than possibly another color. So I do the top and halfway down the sides, let that dry, and then flip it around. I did use 2 coats of the crimson chalk paint. Then cutting around my Christmas tree with my Fiskars fingertip knife, I'm just going to get off that excess scrapbook paper, and then I will also go around the edges with some sandpaper as well, just to get any last little bits of the scrapbook paper. Next, you'll want to lay out your blocks for your box that will hold the 2 foam cubes. These are not tumbling tower blocks, and they're not Jenga blocks. They're kind of a knockoff, maybe the one from Dollar General, but you'll just want to make your base wide enough that both of your foam dice will be able to fit inside. So for these blocks, I'm doing the top and the bottom are 8 blocks, and the 2 sides are 4. Now, once those were dry from the wood glue, I did sand them to get off any excess glue, and then I'm just going to paint all these pieces with 1 coat of my white Waverly chalk paint. Now, while those are drying, we'll come to our dice, and I'm just using some sticker numbers as template, and I'm tracing around them, and then I'm going to fill in the numbers with my black paint marker. So for one of your dice, you're going to need the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 0, 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, and the 6 can also be the 9 when it's turned upside down. So those are the numbers you'll need to put on each of your cubes to be able to make all the numbers at least 25 down to 0 to count down. Now, this is a very economical way to add words to your projects. And all you need to do is find the wording you want and print it out. And then I'm just using carbon tracing paper to transfer those words to my tree. And then I will, like I did on the dice, I will fill those in with a paint marker. You could also use sticker letters to add wording if you'd like, especially if you don't have a stencil or a way to cut vinyl. Now that the pieces of our box are dry, I'm going to use some wood glue here, and you can see I'm going to put the left side all the way to the left of the bottom piece, and then the right hand side I'm going to put right next to the bottom piece. Then once those 3 are dry, I'll put that last piece on top of the right side and next to the left side. I decided to use one of these wood stars from Walmart, and I'm just adding some metallic gold paint to it. This will, once it's dry, be added to the top of the Christmas tree. Once that paint marker is completely dry, I did take my matte finish Mod Podge, and I'm just doing another layer over the entire front of the Christmas tree to keep everything nice and sealed and give it a nice uniform finish. Then, like I said, we will just hot glue that wood star to the top of our tree as well. And now that our box is completely dry, I am going to glue the Christmas tree to the back of the box. I'm not going to have it all the way down because I want to be able to see a lot of the Christmas tree, but I'm using a combination of wood glue and hot glue, and you can kind of see where I have it. And then I'm also going to reinforce it with some more hot glue on the inside and also on the left and right side. The little bit that the Christmas tree sticks down in the back of the box is good because it also holds the cubes in, and it gives you space that you can poke them out to turn them to the next number. If you're stopping by my channel for the first time today, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy what you see and you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber from the past almost 4 years, I can't believe it. Thank you so much for coming back each and every week. I hope everyone will tap that bell and just check that your notifications are set to all, so YouTube should let you know each time I upload a new video or go live here on my channel. Our next Christmas countdown, we are going to be using some matchboxes from Dollar Tree, some magnets, and a cookie pan, as well as scrapbook paper. So I measured the matchboxes that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I believe I ended up cutting my paper about 2 1/8 inch by about 4 1/4. So I'm gonna take my trimmer here, and I don't remember how many different papers I used, maybe 6 to 8, and cut the strips that I needed to go around the matchboxes. Then once you have all of your pieces of paper cut, you can adhere them around the box. So my Dollar Tree had packs of 10 matchboxes, so you would need 3 packs to be able to make 24 or 25. And then I'm using this adhesive tape, double-sided tape that I got at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put a strip on each end of my paper, then burnish it really well, peel off the backing, and then I'm using the line on the box of matches to line up my paper straight, and then I'm kind of folding it as I go around each corner. I did leave the matches in the box while I was folding it, just because then it kept it a little bit more firm and easier to wrap the paper around. So here are all 25 of my boxes. It looks like I used 5 of 5 different kinds of paper. Now this paper pack also had numbers, 2 different sheets, and I just wanted to use the numerals because the words would be too large. So I'm just cutting those out and deciding which ones I want to go on each box. Most of them I had to trim a little bit smaller to fit on the boxes. Then taking my ATG runner, I'm just going to attach those to the front of each of my boxes. Some I had going horizontal, some vertical. Then I got these magnetic discs. You can get them on Amazon. They're usually a scrapbooking item, but you definitely could use the thicker magnets from Dollar Tree as well. Be really careful with these small button ones, as small children could swallow them. So put a magnet on the back of each one, and then these matchboxes are the perfect size for these Andes mints. I got these at Dollar General, but this is just another really fun way to be able to give someone a little treat each day of December leading up to Christmas, and it doesn't take up very much space. You could just have this sitting or leaning on a wall or a desk, a table, but I decided to add a ribbon on the back with hot glue and E6000 or super glue to make this be able to hang on a wall. And here's the finished product. Super fun and quick and easy to make, and can be reused each and every year. Our next Christmas countdown is going to be using some of these small stockings from Hobby Lobby. These came 6 in a pack and they were on sale. I'm also using these clothespin numbers from Hobby Lobby as well. Now I'm choosing to attach these clothespins to a big wood sheet, but you could just tack these stockings up on the wall if you wanted. I'm also using this wooden Merry Christmas word from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to give this a coat of my Waverly chalk paint in the color Fern. I decided to keep my big piece of wood just its natural wood color, mostly for the sake of time. You could paint it if you wanted, but I thought green on these words would look good with the red stockings. So here's my big board. I had to lay it out on the floor to kind of space out how I was going to put everything down. But then once I had them spaced, I'm putting wood glue on the back of these clothespins and I'm spacing them out. And once those are completely dry, then we will be able to put the stockings back on. But I decided to do each row of stockings facing the opposite direction. But this board worked out, I think it was about 3.5 feet tall, and I'm guessing about 2 feet wide, but you can get all different sizes of these small stockings. These were just a really great deal. I think it was less than $12 for all 24 of these stockings. And here's what it looked like with all of the clothespins glued on, as well as the Merry Christmas at the top. I tried to get them as evenly spaced as possible. And then once they were dry, I did attach in the stockings. There's a little ribbon loop on each one, and I have that clipped into the clothespin. For a complete list of all the supplies I've used in today's projects, please check the description box located below the title of this video. There you will find a list for each project, as well as links to my Magnolia website and my Amazon storefront. Our next countdown uses some recycled materials and some tissue paper. You would definitely need to make this each year. We're using toilet paper tubes, some tissue paper, and just some numbers that I printed off of the computer. So this tissue paper is from Dollar Tree, and once I got 2 sheets lined up, I did cut them in half to about 10 to 11 inches, then putting a little line of tacky glue on my tube. I am gluing that right to the center of my tissue paper, cutting off once I've gone around, and then gluing it down again. I am going to leave these ends both open while the glue dries, and you're going to do that for all 24. Then using some of these clear hair rubber bands from Dollar Tree, I'm going to put one rubber band around one end of each of the tubes. This will allow us to put goodies inside of our tubes. Now, like I said, I just printed off some numbers off of my computer and just used a paper punch to punch them out, and then we will attach these to each of our tubes. Now, once you have all your tubes numbered and your goodies put inside, you can put another rubber band on the other side. And then I decided to kind of lash these together with some jute twine. So what I'm doing down here on 24 is I'm tying the string in a knot, and then I'm kind of going around from underneath. I'm going around 23 and then wrapping it once, and then I'm going to do the same thing going all the way up to 1. So you'll kind of see what I mean here. I'm taking one piece of string along this right hand side of all the tubes, and then I'll do the same thing on the left. So here's what it looks like on the back, and then you'd want to secure it with tape or with glue here until it's dry so that it'll all hang in a long line like this. And then they can start at the bottom, how many days until Christmas, and open up each tube to get their treat each day of December. So our next countdown is very simple. It's not one that it involves goodies. It's just a simple chalkboard made out of one of these red and black buffalo plaid chargers and some chalkboard paint. So the first thing I did is took my elephant Waverly chalk paint and I'm just painting over this inner section of the plate to help even it out and cover up the wording there. I think I did one, maybe two coat. I think I only did one coat actually. And then once that's dry, follow the directions on your chalkboard paint. It's pretty thin, and I would definitely use a foam brush for this because when you use a paintbrush, you can definitely see the brush strokes. But follow the directions. You do one coat and let it dry, and then you do another coat, doing your brush strokes the other direction before it is ready to use chalk on. Next, I took some sticker letters and I'm just going to, on the outer rim, spell days until Christmas, going around the outer edge of the plate. Then I did take some matte finish Mod Podge and to go over the sticker letters to make sure they stay in place and to give a matte finish to the outside of our charger to match the chalkboard. We're just going to put that Mod Podge on and then let it dry completely. If you love budget home decor DIY videos like this, please consider commenting on this video and giving it a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know people are enjoying my content and they'll show it to more and more viewers. Our next countdown is going to be using something really easy to find, like these little paper sacks, some clothespins, and some more scrapbook paper that I had in my stash. So these little mini sacks, you get 16 of them for like $2. And I love this Christmas vintage paper. I love that it had these countdown squares on it that we can easily use to number our little paper sacks. So first thing I did is used my trimmer and I cut out all of these squares. This sheet does go to 25, but I'm just going to do 24 sacks for this countdown. Now these mini sacks that I found at Hobby Lobby were 7 inches long, so I did trim those down to 4 inches. I cut a square of paper that was about 3 inches square, and then the number squares were about 2.5 or 2.25. So this is how I'm going to layer them. You can open up the bottom of the bag if you want to put more things in. But first, you're going to cut all 24 of your sacks down to 4 inches. Then the next thing I did was I cut my 3-inch square pieces of scrapbook paper that will just add more stability to our bags and also some decoration behind each of the numbered squares. So once I had 24 of those squares cut, I matched up each of my numbered squares with a backing color. Then the last thing to do is with a tape runner or wet glue or glue stick is attach your numbered square to your backing paper and then attach that to the front of your sack. Then the last thing you have to decide is how you're going to hang your sacks and where. I'm putting a small clothespin on each of my little paper sacks, and then I'm actually going to hang these on some ribbon that I attached to the inside of a large frame. You'll see here in just a second. Our next Christmas countdown is going to be similar to the stockings, but we are going to make a tree out of these 5-gallon paint sticks that we're then going to hang little kids' socks from. Cut your paint sticks at 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15 inches, and then I am also using a large yardstick that I cut to about 28 inches. So I'm giving all of my pieces of horizontal paint sticks a coat of white Waverly chalk paint, and then we will paint the yardstick. I did sand it a little bit to get rid of the impression of the numbers, and then I am painting that with truffle. So this is how we're going to lay them out to attach them to the trunk there. And then I'm going to use 24 of these smaller clothespins from Dollar Tree. We're going to arrange these on our horizontal pieces. I believe I did 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that will have enough space for 24 or 25 of the little socks, which I purchased from Dollar Tree. The year I bought these, they only had 2 different styles, so that's what I found, but you could do this same tree idea with mini stockings as well. Just using some more of my Titebond wood glue to glue down all of my clothespins to my tree. And then here you can see my little baby socks that we're hanging on those clothespins. And that's how easy this one is to make. You can see I also put another one of the Walmart wooden stars at the top of our tree. You can just lean this, or you can make it to be able to hang on the wall as well. Our next Christmas countdown is also reusable year after year. This one is a little more involved. I used 24 of these Purine cookie tins from Dollar Tree. Yes, my kids eventually did eat all of those. So I used this Rust-Oleum Hunter Green semi-gloss to spray paint all of the cans, and then I printed out numbers on my computer onto cardstock and used this scalloped punch to punch those out, and then we will just attach that right to the top of the lid. So once we had all those punched out, I just used tacky glue to glue those to the top. I will say it's best if you get the lids that just have the P, because it's easier to cover than the ones that have the words. But if it peeks out a little bit, it's not a big deal to me. So go ahead and number all of your lids for your 24 cookie tins, and this is what they look like. So then I did do a layer of matte finish Mod Podge over the top of these. I just kind of sprounced it with this foam brush just to make sure it was nice and uniform, and those scalloped circles were pressed down as much as possible onto the metal lids. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, because you need to put a tumbling tower block between each of your cans so that you'll be able to remove the lids. So here you could see I used a combination of the Fix-All and hot glue to put a tumbling tower block between each of my cans. So 22 through 24 is going to be the very base of my tree. And then you can see I started out by gluing my cans together with a tumbling tower block in between to make pairs, and then going to do each row. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 3 at the bottom to total 24. Then, so here's what it looks like with the blocks in between. Now this is just with my rows. Then to build my rows up, I had to put another sideways tumbling tower block and then one laying flat. And those flat ones that I'm putting on right now are where the next row of cans is going to sit on top. You'll see here in a second. One more sideways block, and then the flat one. So now we're ready to put our row of 4 cans on top of our row of 5 cans. And again, I'm using a combination of the Fix-All and the hot glue to attach the metal to the tumbling tower blocks. So I'm just going to keep building it up like that until I get to the very top, and here's what it looks like. These cans are pretty good size, so you can fit quite a few goodies inside. And then this is totally optional, but I decided to wrap a piece of garland just around the triangle shape of the tree just to make it look a little bit more like a Christmas tree. But of course, you could just keep it with the green and red cans. If you are not already following my Monarch Mom DIY Facebook page, I would love it if you would go over to Facebook and follow it. I do go live on my Facebook page 3 times a week doing different projects than what I'm showing here on my YouTube channel. So this last countdown is probably my favorite. It did take the longest amount of time, but this is one I will use year after year, using 24 of these wood drawer boxes from Dollar Tree. I did order mine online. They come in a case of 24, and that way I didn't have to try to hunt at all the stores to find them. So the first thing I did is I removed the inside drawers, and for all of the outside boxes, I am giving them a coat of my antique wax by Waverly. What I do is I paint one completely, set it aside, and then paint the next one, and then go back and wipe off the excess from the one I previously painted. So that's kind of how I went about doing all 24. Now you could definitely change this up and just paint these with a solid color of paint, or you could just leave them the natural wood color. Now these boxes measured just about 3 inches, I believe. And so I decided to decorate the front of each box with a square of paper on top of the antique wax. So there you can see I cut it just a little bit smaller, and I'm actually cutting 2 because one is going to go on the inside to cover up the die cut hole. Once my outside boxes were completely dry on the outside, I did take the time to go ahead and do the antique wax also on the edges and completely on the inside. Again, this is optional. I just knew I wanted this to be something that I was really pleased with and proud to display each year. So I did take the extra time to make that. Now for the smaller drawers, I did decide just to do the antique wax on the outside. I'm going to leave the inside of my drawers where I'll put whatever goodies go into my advent calendar. I'm going to leave that the natural wood. So I'm being really careful to just go up to the very top, and I did that with all my drawers. Now while the drawers were drying, I started gluing my outside boxes together with Titebond wood glue. I actually was pretty lucky getting these all to match up, but it is important to make sure all of the blocks in your row are basically the same size and shape before you start gluing them together. So I believe what I did, I kind of made these rather than just a grid of 4 rows of 6 or 5 rows of 5, is I believe I did 1, 2, 5, 7, 7. Does that add up to 24? 1, 2, 2, 5, 7, 7. Yep, you'll see in a minute. But just going a row at a time, getting them all glued together. Then I took this $3 nativity from Dollar General, and I'm just going to paint it all white on the front. And then coming back to my boxes, you can see I put the drawers inside, and now I'm gluing my little squares of paper that I cut to the front of each of my drawers. The die cut side of each drawer is towards the back, and you'll see that in a minute. So get all your paper on. And then now I am marking the center of each drawer because I have these little drawer pulls from Amazon. They're in my Amazon storefront. I wanted to add these with some E6000 to each drawer. Again, just to make this look really classy. And you would not believe how much advent calendars this size would cost if you try to buy them at a store. So I was really pleased to make this for just a fraction of the cost. Then I had some of these circle number stickers. And so I'm going to start at 24 on the bottom right corner and go all the way up to 1. I'm just lining these up on the bottom right corner of each of my paper squares. Now this is the base that comes with the Dollar General Nativity, and I just want to cut it into a few pieces because I'm going to, as you'll see here in a moment, kind of spread out my Nativity over the different levels of my Advent box here that I made. Now here you can see how I glued the other piece of paper on the inside of the box just to kind of camouflage that die cut hole that is in that inside drawer when you buy them from Dollar Tree. And I just love how this turned out. I'm so excited to bring it out again next year. This actually was my husband's Advent calendar. I put some goodies in each of the boxes for him. Here you can see how it is decorated with the Nativity from Dollar General. Or if you don't have that, you can see here I used an actual Nativity. I believe this one is from Kohl's that I have, and just using the different levels to put the shepherds, the Holy Family, and the wise men. Or you can use really any sort of farmhouse Christmas decor as well to decorate this Advent calendar. Thanks again so much for joining me today. Please, as always, let me know in the comments which of these projects is your favorite. Also, does your family have a tradition that you do over the Advent season leading up to Christmas? Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Take care.